8 words that can transform your life. A few years ago, I was asked to answer this question on a radio program. What is the biggest lesson you have ever learned? That was easy. By far the most vital lesson I have ever learned is the importance of what we think. If I knew what you think, I would know what you are. Our thoughts make us what we are. Our mental attitude is the X factor that determines our fate. Emerson said, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." How could he possibly be anything else? I now know with a conviction beyond all doubt that the biggest problem you and I have to deal with, in fact almost the only problem we have to deal with, is choosing the right thoughts. If we can do that, we will be on the high road to solving all our problems. The great philosopher who ruled the Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius, summed it up in 8 words, 8 words that can determine your destiny. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Yes, if we think happy thoughts, we will be happy. If we think miserable thoughts, we will be miserable. If we think fear thoughts, we will be fearful. If we think sickly thoughts, we will probably be ill. If we think failure, we will certainly fail. If we wallow in self-pity, everyone will want to shun us and avoid us. You are not, said Norman Vincent Peale, you are not what you think you are, but what you think you are. Am I advocating an habitual Pollyanna attitude toward all our problems? No, unfortunately life isn't so simple as all that. But I am advocating that we assume a positive attitude instead of a negative attitude. In other words, we need to be concerned about our problems but not worried. What is the difference between concern and worry? Well, let me illustrate. Every time I cross the traffic-jammed streets of New York, I'm concerned about what I'm doing, but not worried. Concern means realizing what the problems are and calmly taking steps to meet them. Worrying means going around in maddening, futile circles. Years ago, I read a little book that had a lasting and profound effect on my life. It was called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And here's what it said. A man will find that as he alters his thoughts toward things and other people will alter towards him. Let a man radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. The divinity that shapes our ends is in ourselves. It is our very self. All that a man achieves is the direct result of his own thoughts. A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. He can only remain weak and abject and miserable by refusing to lift up his thoughts. So let us remember these words of William James. Much of what we call evil can often be converted into a bracing and tonic good by a simple change of the sufferer's inner attitude, from one of fear to one of fight. Let's fight for our happiness. Let's fight for our happiness by following a daily program of cheerful and constructive thinking. Here is such a program. It is entitled Just for Today. I found this program so inspiring that I gave away hundreds of copies. Just for Today. 1. Just for today, I will be happy. This assumes that what Abraham Lincoln said is true, that most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. Happiness is from within. It is not a matter of externals. 2. Just for today, I will try to adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to my own desires. I will take my family, my business, and my luck as they come, and fit myself to them. 3. Just for today, I will take care of my body. I will exercise it, care for it, nourish it, not abuse it nor neglect it, so that it will be a perfect machine for my bidding. 4. Just for today, I will try to strengthen my mind. I will learn something useful. I will not be a mental loafer. I will read something that requires effort, thought, and concentration. 5. Just for today, I will exercise my soul in 3 ways. I will do somebody a good turn and not get found out. I will do at least 2 things I don't want to do, as William James suggests, just for exercise. 6. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can, dress as becomingly as possible, talk low, act courteously, be liberal with praise, criticize not at all, nor find fault with anything, and not try to regulate nor improve anyone. 7. Just for today, I will try to live through this day only, not to tackle my whole life problem at once. I can do things for 12 hours that would appall me if I had to keep them up for a lifetime. 8. Just for today, I will have a program. I will write down what I expect to do every hour. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have it. It will eliminate 2 pests, hurrying and indecision. 9. Just for today, I will have a quiet half-hour all by myself and relax. In this half-hour, sometimes I will think of God, so as to get a little more perspective into my life. 10. Just for today, I will be unafraid. Especially, I will not be afraid to be happy, to enjoy what is beautiful, to love, and to believe that those I love me. Milton, in his blindness, discovered that same truth 300 years ago. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Napoleon and Helen Keller are perfect illustrations of Milton's statement. Napoleon had everything men usually crave, glory, power, riches, yet he said at St. Helena, "I have never known 6 happy days in my life," while Helen Keller, blind, deaf, dumb, declared, "I have found life so beautiful." If half a century of living has taught me anything at all, it has taught me that nothing can bring you peace but yourself. I'm merely trying to repeat what Emerson said so well in the closing words of his essay on self-reliance. A political victory, a rise in rents, the recovery of your sick, or the return of your absent friend, or some other quite external event raises your spirits, and you think good days are preparing for you. Do not believe it. It can never be so. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, warned that we ought to be more concerned about removing wrong thoughts from the mind than about removing tumors and abscesses from the body. Epictetus said that 19 centuries ago, but modern medicine would back him up. Dr. G. Canby Robinson declared that 4 out of 5 patients admitted to Johns Hopkins Hospital were suffering from conditions brought on in part by emotional strains and stresses. This was often true, even in cases of organic disturbances. Eventually, he declared, these traced back to maladjustments to life and its problems. Montaigne, the great French philosopher, adopted these 17 words as the motto of his life. A man is not hurt so much by what happens as by his opinion of what happens, and our opinion of what happens is entirely up to us. And what do I mean? Have I the colossal effrontery to tell you to your face, when you're mowed down by troubles and your nerves are sticking out like wires and curling up at the ends, have I the colossal effrontery to tell you that under those conditions you can change your mental attitude by an effort of the will? Yes, I mean precisely that. And that is not all. I'm going to show you how to do it. It may take a little effort, but the secret is simple. William James, who has never been topped in his knowledge of practical psychology, once made this observation. Action seems to follow feeling, but really action and feeling go together, and by regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. In other words, William James tells us that we cannot instantly change our emotions just by making up our minds to, but that we can change our actions, and that when we change our actions, we will automatically change our feelings. Thus, he explains, the sovereign voluntary path to cheerfulness, if your cheerfulness be lost, is to set up cheerfully and to act and speak as if cheerfulness were already there. Does that simple trick work? Try it yourself. Put a big, broad, honest-to-God smile on your face. Throw back your shoulders, take a good deep breath, and sing a snatch of song. If you can't sing, whistle. If you can't whistle, hum. You will quickly discover what William James was talking about, that it is physically impossible to remain blue or depressed while you're acting out the symptoms of being radiantly happy. This is one of the little basic truths of nature that can easily work miracles in all our lives. A man can be concerned about his serious problems and still walk with his chin up and a carnation in his buttonhole. Now, I've seen Lowell Thomas do just that. I once had the privilege of being associated with Lowell Thomas in presenting his famous films on the Allen B. Lawrence campaigns in World War I. He and his assistants had photographed the war on half a dozen fronts, and best of all, had brought back a pictorial record of T.E. Lawrence and his colorful Arabian army, and a film record of Allenby's conquest of the Holy Land. His illustrated talks entitled With Allenby in Palestine and Lawrence in Arabia were a sensation in London and around the world. The London opera season was postponed for 6 weeks so that he could continue telling his tale of high adventure and showing his pictures at Covent Garden Royal Opera House. After his sensational success in London came a triumphant tour of many countries. Then he spent 2 years preparing a film record of life in India and Afghanistan. After a lot of incredibly bad luck, the impossible happened. He found himself broke in London. I was with him at the time. I remember we had to eat cheap meals at the Lyons Corner House restaurants. We couldn't have eaten even there if Mr. Thomas had not borrowed money from a Scotsman, James McBay, the renowned artist. Now here's the point of the story. Even when Lowell Thomas was facing huge debts and severe disappointments, he was concerned but not worried. He knew that if he let his reverses get him down, he would be worthless to everyone, including his creditors. So each morning, before he started out, he bought a flower, put it in his buttonhole, and went swinging down Oxford Street with his head high and his step spirited. He thought positive, courageous thoughts, and refused to let defeat him. To him, being licked was all a part of the game, the useful training you had to expect if you wanted to get to the top. Our mental attitude has an almost unbelievable effect even on our physical powers. The famous British psychiatrist J.A. Hadfield gives a striking illustration of that fact in his splendid 54-page booklet, The Psychology of Power. I asked 3 men, he writes, to submit themselves to test the effect of mental suggestion on their strength, which was measured by gripping a dynamometer. He told them to grip the dynamometer with all their might. He had them do this under 3 different sets of conditions. When he tested them under normal waking conditions, their average grip was 101 pounds. When he tested them after he had hypnotized them and told them that they were very weak, they could grip only 29 pounds, less than a third of their normal strength. One of these men was a prize fighter, and when he was told under hypnosis that he was weak, he remarked that his arm felt tiny, just like a baby's. When Captain Hadfield then tested these men a 3rd time, telling them under hypnosis that they were very strong, they were able to grip an average of 142 pounds. When their minds were filled with positive thoughts of strength, they increased their actual physical powers almost 50%. Such is the incredible power of our mental attitude. I'm deeply convinced that our peace of mind and the joy we get out of living depends not on where we are or what we have or who we are, but solely upon our mental attitude. Outward conditions have very little to do with it. If we want to develop a mental attitude that will bring us peace and happiness, here is Rule 1. Think and act cheerfully. and you will feel cheerful.